You all right? What day is it? Oh, it's Tuesday. Tuesday. It's a weird day, Tuesday, isn't it? Not really much happens on a Tuesday. Well, I just thought I'd surprise you all with a quick live. I'm not on a daily dog walk at this moment in time. I thought, well, I'm having a brew and I'll have a catch up with you all, see how you're all doing. Not spoken to you in ages. When was it? When did we last do a live? Flipping heck. It must have been a week ago since I spoke to you all. So, yeah. Got back from London on Saturday tea time. Absolutely freezing in the house because I didn't have the heating on. Got down to 15.5 degrees, which doesn't sound much, but the house was proper cold. So that was the first task, crank the old heating up so it was nice and warm. And then where did we go? Oh yeah, then we went to the supermarket because we had some milk, but the milk had gone off, which is typical. It might have been all right, but it didn't smell all right. So we didn't try it. So I went and got some bits so we could have some tea and had a cup of tea. And yeah, we just chilled out when we come back. I think I unpacked in record time. I think I must have unpacked in about 15 minutes tops. That little suitcase was a godsend what I took with me. I bought that especially, and it was spot on. It was just the right size. And again, I took my hair straighteners because you can curl your hair with hair straighteners if you don't know. I was actually going to use them to curl my hair. And yeah, we didn't actually ended up using them. So I could have saved a lot of space there with that. And then I took my Doc Martens. Bloody hell, have you ever put boots in your suitcase? Chuffing hell, it weighs them down a ton, doesn't it? So I put Doc Martens in my suitcase and I went in my trainers, what I wore when I went to Cyprus. Well, I thought I might have helped the situation with the trainers. These brand new trainers I've got, which were not cheap. I think the 110s they call them, Nike ones. Now, the female version to what my partner's got about 75,000 pairs of. So I wore them in Cyprus and I didn't bed them in. And both my toenails on my big toe are purple, right? So what I did was when I came back from Cyprus, I put tissue paper inside my trainers to try and pad out the toe ends, do you know, of the trainers? Because I don't know why they're causing my toenails to literally go black. So we padded them out for 3 weeks. So I put them on and I thought to myself, they'll be fine. I've stretched them. They'll be fine, right? Morning, you're right. And oh my God, my toenails have got worse. It's mental. I have never had bloody trainers what cause your toenails to go like that. Oh, I'm not too bad. Thank you for asking. How are you? So yeah, I'm walking around with like Halloween coloured in toenails because my trainers are bruising my toes. Has anyone else had this problem? Because I don't know what else to do. Like I say, they cost a lot of money and they're immaculate because everything I look after. But it got to the point where I was literally walking with my big, I don't know how to show you with your hands, but do you know your big toes? I was like trying to curl my big toes down because when I was walking, I was literally in tears because we did a lot of walking in London and it got to the point where I could hardly walk. So I might show you in a minute. Let me show you the worst one. You can laugh. You're going to laugh. It's not funny, but it is funny. Hold on. I'm taking my sock off here. You're going to see my toe. Let me see if I can spin it round. It might not work, guys, but we'll try. Right. Are you ready? Look at that. Can you see? Chunky toe. Can you see that? That is just from my trainers. Look at this. Look at that one. I put them together, move my pigs out the way. Can you see? That's not right, is it? Look. So, I just don't know what to do. Because, like I say, the lovely trainers, they cost me an arm and a leg. No pun intended. And they're just so painful. So, if anyone's got any ideas out there, how can I stop my toenails from going like this? Because it's not good. But anyhow, I wanted to fill you in on some of the disasters we had in London. Because if you've been watching the channel, I'm trying to get my sock. Hold on. If you've been watching the channel, you'll be like, oh, it didn't look much of a disaster to me. Well, it was a disaster because what happened was, when we got to the train station at Doncaster and we had to get on the LNER, firstly, they changed platforms at the last second. Oh, mate, isn't it painful? It's so painful. Literally, it feels like someone is standing on my toe ends. I reckon we have a wager. These nails are going to come off, aren't they? They're going to drop off. I mean, that's right passion killer, isn't it? Bloody nailers. But yeah, so we got to... I'm sorry, fiddling with my feet now. Got to Donny. They said, right, you're on platform 1. Now then, you're on platform 1. Now you're on 3A. So we want too much of a scramble. Changed platforms. And because I booked us to go, now then, dearest, I booked us to go to, on the train first class, right? So I knew we was at the front somewhere. So the train come along, and I think off the top of my head, we was in carriage. Now then, we was in carriage D, right? So thinking logically, alphabet D is at the front of the train. Off I go, trying to get on the train. And I can see that person that blows the whistle and gets on the train about to say, right, clear off. So I said, oh, just get on this carriage, jump on the carriage, quick. We're going to miss it. So we jumped on the carriage. There's me with my 4-wheeler little suitcase, my partner with this bloody great big bag, trotting along. And I'm like, well, you can tell the difference between first class seats and normal seats. So we went to the first class end of the carriage and it wasn't tallying. The alphabet was not tallying. And I'm like, I don't get this. Where the hell is our seats? Well, it transpires they joined 2 trains together. And I'd never seen that. I'd never seen 2 trains join together nose to nose, right? So obviously all the alphabet was all wrong. And we should have been in the back half of the train. And because it was 2 trains, you couldn't walk between them because there were 2 different vehicles, right? So by the time this all come apparent, the train set off and I flew, and I mean flew, into my partner. Because we were stood talking to people in first class. And then all of a sudden, it set off with such a velocity, I slammed into him and pinned him up against the wall and nearly broke his arm. And I'm not even lying. He's got all skin missing off his arm. And he's got rheumatoid arthritis, so his bones are not in the best of condition as it is. And I just felt so guilty. I mean, it wasn't my fault. I didn't know there were 2 trains. They didn't tell me there were 2 trains joined together. I didn't even know you could do that. I don't use trains all the time, And, oh my God, I know, Steve, it was horrific because my partner was clutching his arm. He then couldn't carry his bag. I said, just stay here in the carriage and I'm going to go and see what's what. And I ended up walking down to where they have like a food area, like a bar. And this is how I discovered all this information because no one come to help us. And she said, I'll ring the lady in the train where you should be and say, look, you are here. But basically, I couldn't get off the train until we got to Grantham. So we ended up plumping ourselves in the train, in normal class, in different seats, in different parts of the train, until we could get off at Grantham. And then we had to get off at Grantham, all the way around and back on the different train, what was connected to the other train. By this time, they'd already had most of the free scram. And, you know, I was trying to make this experience as magical as I could. Because remember, it was his birthday. So I nearly broke his arm on his chuffing birthday. I mean, how nice do you think I felt for doing that? And then, like I say, the lady came. We had a bacon roll, but we didn't have nothing else. And really, we should have had more than one cup of tea. So I felt a little bit hard done by for how much more I paid for that. And then obviously my partner was hurt. They did say, did you want to fill out an accident form? But I said, you know what, I'm not going to bother. You know, my partner didn't want to. The thing is, he can't read and write very well, guys. So whenever anyone mentions form filling, it's not really great. And they shouldn't assume everyone can read and write, okay? And I mean, I would have done it for him, you know this, but he didn't want to, so we left it. Then the other nightmare we had, it started picking up. We got to the hotel and I was cheeky. You know what I'm like? If you don't ask, you don't get. And I asked if we could get a free upgrade. Now then, I asked if we could get a free upgrade to the Big Ben room, which again, if you watch the video, I got. That was a lot more expensive, guys. A lot more, I tell you. So we got the free upgrade. And what I did as well, on the app, on the Radisson app, I said, we don't want our room cleaned because I want the £10 voucher for off the food, you know, for breakfast. Because I didn't pay for breakfast because that was freaking dear. So I did all that. Then it transpires, because I did it on the Radisson app, they wouldn't give me the £10. And then they didn't even clean the room. I was like, what? We near enough run out of toilet roll. That's how bad it is. Oh, I tell you, we nearly run out of toilet roll. I only had one tea bag to make a cup of tea. There were no milk. And this is where it really went tits up, basically. Thank you, dear. I wanted to take him to Chinatown for his birthday. So, you know, never been to London, don't do buses much, don't do trains, you know, everything's a new experience. It's a school day every single day. And I didn't have an app other than Google Maps, right? So I said to the concierge, I said, we want to get to Chinatown. I said, which bus do we need to catch to get to Chinatown? I knew we needed to go over the bridge, but I didn't know what bus. So he said, you want the 159? Oh, I did. I did help people. I gave someone, just digressing, guys, I gave somebody who was begging on the side of the road over the bridge, on Westminster Bridge, I gave him some hard-boiled eggs. So I did look after him, because he had a sign saying he was starving. And basically, as soon as I gave him the hard-boiled eggs, he ate them instantly. So he was starving. Anyhow, getting back to the story. So I said to him, which number? 159. I said, right, do I catch it right outside the hotel? Yes. Perfect. So we got on the bus right outside the hotel, like I said, and we sat there waiting to go to Chinatown. Nearly an hour into the journey, right, we wasn't at our destination. And I kept saying to my partner, because I was on Google Maps, I went, we're going round in circles here. We're going round and round and round. We need to be that side of the water. When is the bus going to go that side of the water? And he went, well, you know, buses don't just go to A to B, and making out like I was some kind of stupid person. And I said, yeah, but there's something not right. There's something definitely not right. We went through Brixton and we went beyond. And I'm like, no disrespect to these places, but when it's dark and you're looking at the places where you are and it's like rougher than rough, I was a bit fearful. And I got up after near enough arguing. Yeah, we did, Steve, completely the wrong way. I got up and I said to the bus driver, I said, excuse me, and I digress. I said to the bus driver when I paid my fare to Chinatown, and he said yes. He never said anything. He could have told me then. So what happened was I got up while the guy had stopped the bus at the traffic lights, went to the traffic lights, while he stood at the traffic light, went to the front of the bus, which I know you're not supposed to do, but I was really getting concerned. And I said, excuse me, I said, we're supposed to be going to Chinatown. I said, is this the right bus? He said, you need to be on the other side. I said, what do you mean? He says, you need to be on the other side. You're going to have to get off this bus and get on a different bus and go back the way you came. I thought, oh my God, you are kidding me. I mean, by this time, it were gone 8 o'clock. And I was thinking, this is ridiculous. We got on this bus at bang on 7 o'clock. It's now gone 8. We're nowhere near where we need to be. And now we've got to find our own way back again. So I rung up the hotel and I said, look, we're in the middle of nowhere. What the hell? Can you pay for a taxi? Can you get the taxi to come? Because you should have stipulated what side to catch the bus on. You agreed with what I said. And basically they said, tough tits. And I'm like, great, I don't even know how to order an Uber. I've never even done an Uber. Do you know what I mean? But that one is, I've got a few of them. I didn't even know how to do that. And I went, I have no idea. I have no idea. You're asking me to do these things. I'm a country lass. I don't know how to do these things. And basically, we had to fathom out the bus stop, because all the buses, if you've ever been to London, they've got numbers above them and they tell you which bus stops at which stop. They don't stop at all of them. So we had to carry on walking to find this bus again. Then an hour back. Well, the time we got back anywhere near Chinatown, my partner was just foul. Foul. And I mean foul. He just said I spoiled his entire birthday. Yeah, it was not nice. He was like, it's too late for me to eat now. I'm not interested in going anywhere. We ended up having a meal deal for 2 from Tesco's Express. Can you believe it? Not what I wanted, I'd gone to a lot of effort to sort this break out. Booking a nice hotel, doing the first class train, trying to use public transport to keep costs down, and and that was his birthday. So that was, So the next day I did go up and see the concierge. Mate, I just felt so bad. Everything was going tits up. So I went up, well, not to the concierge, I actually went to the manager again. And I said to the manager, I said, this and this has gone off. It's not our fault. And she basically said, well, we did tell you the right bus. I said, yes, but you didn't say to get on outside the hospital, because I think it was St. James, something like that. There's a hospital. And we should have got on over there. But they didn't stipulate that. And cost dummy, never thought. I just said, get on the bus nearest the hotel. And they said yes. So she was like, well, I said, well, is there any chance we can have a free breakfast or something, because my partner's not had a birthday tea. He's not had any cake. He's had nothing, and I'm the bad guy now. And it's not really my fault. And she said, we'll send you some chocolate. I said, he don't want chocolate. He's on a health kick. He don't want chocolate. So she said, we'll send you a fruit bowl. I said, spot on. He's into his fruit. Mega. Please send a fruit bowl. She says, do you want some balloons? Because then the following day, I don't know if you knew, it was our anniversary, so we had a double celebration while I was there. The first day it was his birthday, and the next day was 2 years since we got engaged. So it was a double celebration. This is why it needed to run like clockwork. And she says, well, we'll put some balloons in your room. I says, all right, do that. Right, guys, hold that thought. I'm coming back. I've got a parcel just rocked up. Stay there, Steve. I'll be back. I'll keep you on. I'm back. Oh my goodness. Do you know what? It's never a dull moment, is there? Yeah, we agreed all this. Paul was in the shower when I scuttled off to do all this secretly you squirrel stuff. And then what happened was I came back to the room and I said to him, I've done some surprises and we'll see when we get back. Anyhow, long story short, when we got back, there were no fruit bowls. She gave us these bloody icing, like, is it called macaroons? And it's like, well, I'm diabetic. I'm not really supposed to have that kind of stuff. He's on a health kick, and that's not what we agreed. So yeah, that was a complete waste of time, and it was disappointing. And I actually wrote to them yesterday. They sent me feedback. They said, you know, they send you like a, what you might call it, or how was your experience? So I told them, and basically I just got a thing saying, well, thank you for letting us know. I hope you come back again. So I cheekily wrote back and said, well, as a goodwill gesture then, what are you going to do to make me come back again? Do you know what? They hadn't applied. They hadn't even replied. It's like, yeah, we knew, didn't we? You know, you want the feedback when you get warts and all. You don't do piss all about it, do you? So I honestly don't think I'll be going back there again, because I hadn't even got any. You're supposed to get reward points, and I ain't got anything. And I thought, well, that's shite. You know, you like Tesco's, you encourage people to stay in your hotels, but then you don't give them anything to encourage them to go back. So that was shocking. And then, I went to Harrods. So disappointed with Harrods. So yeah, me, you know what I'm like, yeah? You should never judge a book by its cover, right, guys? So I went in Harrods, and I have birthday money to spend from September. And so I went in Harrods, and I went there only because I didn't know where else to go, to be truthful, to get some cream, some face cream. And I thought I wanted to go where there were ladies what could try products on you, and then you can see if they work and buy, yeah? So I went to the Elmis counter where I use a lot of their stuff and it's not cheap. And after explaining everything what I did, you know, with my facial routine, I was said, oh, they've got this machine what scans your face. And they said, oh, sit down, put your chin on this thing and these two prongs on your forehead, and it scans your face and it works out the consistency of your skin, oily, dry. I know it's a ladies thing, but I'm just telling you, if you ever into looking after your chops, they do it. First time it come up on the laptop with my face, it then asked for all my details and then it crashed. Then we tried to reboot it again and it wouldn't scan my face. So we couldn't do that. So in the end, what they said is, well, basically, she wasn't even interested. Do you know what I mean? She wasn't even interested. There was this couple what went looking at the other products, and because the machine wouldn't work, okay, she basically just went, "Oh, them people over there, they're mine, they're mine." And I thought, well, I'm actually sat with you still. So how can you say that? How can you say them customers I'm looking after and they're mine when she's still sat with me? And I just felt like a third class citizen. I felt like, because obviously you get all the millionaires and people like that in there, she just looked at them and saw pound signs. And, you know, it was just, this lady ain't got two pennies to rub together, so she's not going to buy anything. And it was a load of BS, basically, because I'd gone in there purposely for them to educate me and try products and buy from them. I wanted them to lead the way in the sales. I wanted them to go, yeah, here we go, let's put this on. Can you see any difference? Blah, blah, blah. No, this is rubbish, this is good. I really wanted them to guide my journey. And yeah, basically, I didn't even go anywhere else in Harrods. I didn't even go to any of the other floors. I was so disillusioned and so downhearted by it. I just wanted to come away. And I really, as well, this is the flip side of how I work. I thought is it Harley's supercars were still there, because I'd watched another big YouTuber, is it number 64, buy a hypercar from there, and I wanted to go and see the cars. But I did do the whole of the bottom of Harrods, and there were no cars there. So does anyone know, obviously, is he shipped out? Didn't it work for him? So I bummed, you know. Two things. I wanted to get some cream for my birthday. And secondly, I wanted to look at the hypercars, and I got neither. So, yeah. And I'd walk 2.5 miles to get there as well. 2.5 miles because, again, we was trying to get our steps in, but we did end up using some of the buses, but we didn't want to rely on the buses all the time. Do you know what I mean? Because you miss stuff, don't you? Yeah, they're not, Steve. They're not very helpful. And, you know, first time in London, first time in Harrods, all these experiences, and I've come away with a lot of negative and not so many positives. And going back to Nathan's comment about my eyebrows, right? If you follow the channel, Nathan, you would know, dearest, that I'm on blood thinners because I have a blood clot. These are microbladed. Microblading causes bleeding because it colours it in like a tattoo. So they are desperate to be done, you're right. But how can I have it done when I'm on blood thinners? Use your noddle. I can't. So, and I'm going to be on blood thinners because that's another story, and until at least May next year, guys. So I can't do anything about anything what needs injections, microblading, anything with a needle what causes excessive bleeding. I have to stay clear of. So this is why I might not be looking quite ship-shape on point, because they have been done over a year ago. But this light makes them look crap. So, but just to educate you on that point, sunshine, all right? Because I know some of you think you're quite smart, but actually you're not. So yes, as I digress, there was good bits and bad bits. That Chinese we had, we were recommended by the hotel to go to that Chinese in Chinatown. That's why we picked it. The food was nice, but in the curry, I don't know if you saw, it was more sauce than actual meat in the curry. And we could have got away with one. So that's another thing what I find in. People are being dishonest. So when you say to somebody, right, so you go to a Chinese and you know they're all different, don't you? Some serve things in different sizes of bowls, some you can share, some you can't. So when I said to the gentleman, I said, right, we want curry, a chicken curry, but do we just require one portion or do we need two? And he said, oh, no, you need two. And when they come, technically, we only needed one. And that curry was, what, over £13 a portion as well. And I thought to myself, not being nasty, but I could have actually made a better one. I would have put stuff in it because all what was in it was onion and chicken. I mean, I put mushrooms in and all sorts and peppers and, you know, all different things to pad it out. So that was like, I would say 40% meat and 60% bloody curry sauce. And then the rice came in a bowl, I don't know if you can see, which was basically the size what you have your soup in. So not enough egg fried rice, too much curry, and the noodles weren't chow mein. They didn't do chow mein, so they knocked these noodles up, which were more like bean sprouts. They were all right, they were nice. And because remember, that was the first meal we had out. We didn't have any other meals out. Only then, I can vouch for every Sainsbury's, every Tesco Express, every Marks and Spencer's, because we was living basically on meal deals because I didn't pay for the food at the hotel. And then when I looked at the prices, they wanted 30 quid each for an English breakfast. £30! I mean, not being funny, what are your sausages made out of? 30 quid. I bet you only probably got half a sausage as well, you know. Maybe it's because I'm not a tight northerner, but I know things are more expensive down there, but flipping heck, it's like, black and white, innit? A bottle of water, 6 quid. And there were no water in the room as well. I mean, a 4-star hotel, and they don't give you a bottle of water in your fridge. You know, I thought that was shocking as well. So, Steve, I'm finding it all the time. Maybe because I must be just too much of a kind, caring person. I must be, and too honest for my own good. But being a nursemaid, I have to be, don't I? I could kill somebody. I can't tell them wrong. And if I don't know, you tell them you don't know, and you don't do something. You don't make it up at like them lads in the hotel in the concierge. If they didn't know which bus to catch, now then, if they didn't know, they should have said they didn't know. And they should have said about this, I think it's called City Mapper, off the top of my bonds. That is an amazing, amazing app, guys. If you ever go to London, get that app on your phone. It is shit hot. Because basically, all you do is you put where you want to go. Now then, dearest, you put in where you want to go, right? Say Chinatown. And it comes up with a bus, a train, where to get a bike to push bike, a tube. It tells you every single number, routes to follow, everything. I'm from Lincolnshire, dearest, in the UK. It just literally tells you everything. It even tells you the price, right? So if you ever wondered how much a bus was in London, them big red buses, what I called ladybirds, they were in a daytime £1.75 each. And it didn't matter where you got on that bus and where you went on that bus, as long as it was on that route, it was £1.75. I think that's amazing value because it's cheaper than where I live, you know. Bless you. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you've subscribed. I bet the weather's better than my end. It's peeing it down here. So, buses, amazing. You get to see stuff. Tube, it was just under about 3 quid It depends where you went. So that was not too bad. Taxis I didn't go near, didn't understand how to do Ubers, and coming back on the train with another couple from Brough who we didn't know for toffee, just got talking to him. They was telling me that, you know, they probably got more pennies than me, probably not as a tight ass as me, but they were saying that they was using Ubers, and if you went at a certain time of day, it was costing them like 23 quid. And then as it got later in the evening, the price just went crazy. But what I was trying to tell you, what I found absolutely mind-blowing, was they got this Uber, and this guy that got in, and this taxi driver was like, "Oh my God, thank God you're normal." And I was like, why? What do you mean by that statement? And they said, we've just had some blokes who were, well, lads, I said, they were all right when they wanted the taxi, but when they got in the taxi, they started playing up, and then they started doing lines of cocaine in the back of the taxi. And she said, well, what did you do? He said, what could I do? They could have pulled a knife. He just had to let them get on with it. So, I mean, that's sketchy as, isn't it? You don't think of things like that. So that's proper scary for that taxi driver. And because all the windows are blacked out, you know, no one can see what they're up to, can they? So, yeah, we never went near taxis. We never did. We never even entertained them because, well, it was the cost implication, you know? It was the cost, so... But yeah, I would go back again, and I think I'm a lot more savvy now, than I was when I went. Because obviously, if you've never been somewhere, how do you know? You don't, do you? I mean, there was loads of sightseeing things we didn't do. There was loads, but again, it was the cost as well. I wanted to go to the Tower of London, and I'm sure when I researched it online, it was like 40 quid each. I mean, if you've got kids and a family, how do you afford? I mean, you can get these cards, can't you? But if you look at them closely, guys, they don't cover every single thing to, you know, what you want to go at. The selective over, well, if you go to this and this and this, it'll cover it. But if you want to go to that, it won't entertain it. So you've got to be careful with that as well. Like I mentioned earlier, begging. Oh my goodness. It was rife begging. Literally, when I think we was either down Bond Street, it's where Selfridges is, wherever that is, I think it was Bond Street. They were literally laying in the middle of the footpath. No shoes and socks on, whatever they could find to wrap round them, with cardboard signs saying we're starving. And there were hundreds of them, absolutely hundreds of them. And you was having to like walk round them. And it was a shame to see that as well. In the numbers, what there were, it was a shame. And even in King's Cross Station, right? We were there a good 2 hours before our train. They were coming up to us. We were sat having a coffee, killing time, which is in the videos if you go have a look. And they were coming up to us asking for money. And it's like, wow, you are either desperate or brazen. And they were then, when people didn't have any money, Steve, do you know what they did? They were asking if, they were like frog marching, you and I, to a cash point to draw money out. I'm like, hello? When someone says they haven't got any money, they ain't got any money, have they? Because how many people carry cash? I don't carry cash. But taking people to the cash point to draw out money, that is wrong. If someone says, I haven't got any change, I'm sorry, I can't give today, you don't know what their circumstances are. You don't frog march them then to the cash point and ask them to take out a tenner, because you can't get fivers out, can you? And we were witnessing this. the full 2 hours we were there, that they were constantly on you, asking for money. And there were also dodgy dealings going on behind us as well. There was this bloke what was approached by these two well-to-do men, and he was trying to basically do money laundering. Do you know what I mean? He was trying to get them to do money laundering, and he wanted him to draw out some money from the cash point and then pay him back. And they said, oh, it's because we can't get any money, so we need you to get some money out. And I was just thinking, what the hell? But where was the police? There was just no one keeping an eye on all these shenanigans what were kicking off. And you just felt on edge all the time. You got your suitcases with you, you got your belongings with you got your coat there, and you just sat there like, you didn't know who was friend or foe. It definitely opened my eyes. I mean, in my town, we have got people who sleep rough, and I know a lot of them, it's not their fault. I get it. I'm not I am sympathetic to people like that, In our team, we go out and look after the homeless people. They actually have like a clinic what we can go and we can offer our services to them, and look at wounds and stuff like that, and we can support them. So I'm all for looking that after them and stuff, and the human beings at the end of the day. But chuffing hell, there's some of the stuff we saw. And then on the flip side, I saw 2 urban foxes. On one of the videos, you just barely saw one. But literally, this urban fox came out of a side road, and it just stood there in the middle of the road. This fox, daylight, stood there in the middle of the road. Like, well, you're going to stop. This is in front of cars. You're going to stop, mate, because I need to cross the road. And all the traffic stood, and this fox just went from one side of the road to the other. Because I thought I was going to get run over. You know what I'm like with animals. I was like, oh my God, it's going to get splattered. Oh, no. But no, he didn't. And off he popped. And then later on, the same night as the disaster with the bus for my partner's birthday, I was looking, there was this massive hotel just over Westminster Bridge, and it's got like a long driveway. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they went to eat there or what, but it had this long driveway. And I looked down it. I don't know why I looked, but I looked down it and I was like, that's too big for a cat. And I was just stood there going, I reckon that's another fox. And I tried to film it for you, but this bloody car came from behind and nearly run me down. And it was a fox. It was this fox. And it was just like, yeah, I'm just walking around doing my thing, And it's just amazing, because in where I live, I only see dead ones. We don't see live ones. And I saw 2 in 2. Saw 2 in one day. So, and then the lady on the train was on about foxes, and she said they're coming to people's houses at that time, and they've got to keep the French doors shut and whatnot. So, it's amazing, isn't it, how the other half has to live with the animals, but the animals are diversifying. Probably offer a Mackey's one. He probably got more food than I did, Steve. Warm food, that's a sure thing. But yeah, and my gadget worked. I don't think I showed you. I bought from Amazon these little silver clasps. What you take your cover off your phone and you put them in your phone cover, and the little attachment comes out where your charger goes in. So it goes out through that hole in your case, and then you put your phone back together. And then I had one of my Formula 1 lanyards, and I attached it to it, and it made it so it was hanging off my neck. Now, I did that because I did do some research. There was a lot of people going on these electric bikes, when people are recording like this or that, they were just coming up and snatching them and phew, gone. One after another, after another, after another. So I thought to myself, you're going to have to take my bloody head off. You know, like my necklace. If you're having this, you got to take my head off because it's round my neck. And I did feel a lot more secure doing that. So if you want them, they're on Amazon. They're under £4 and I think you get 6 little attachments. We just put some electrician's tape around it because it was a bit sharp, because it is a piece of like thin metal, and we just bolted it up with a bit of electrician's tape so it didn't scratch it. But it did the trick. Only thing is, when I was trying to film, I was too near myself. That's scary, but I was too near, so I was having to like gingerly take it off my head and hold it at a distance, because otherwise it's like, oh, and you don't want to see that. So yeah, would we go back? Yes. Have we learned a lot? Hell yes. The next big trip we're planning on is we're on about going to Liverpool just before Christmas for one night this time. Never been there. It's nearer to where I live. It should be cheaper. A Christmas market will be on, so that should be good. So that is the next sort of big thing we'll be doing in a couple of months' time. Obviously, I'm going to be doing my blogging like I am now. I'll be back doing my daily dog walk tomorrow, so normal service will be resumed. But I just wanted to have a chin wag with you all and fill you in on the disasters, which we knew would happen because it's me, remember? We knew what would happen when I go to London and shit hits the fan. So I just want to say thank you guys to everyone who's been liking and subscribing to the channel. Please watch my most recent videos. We need to get them viewing hours up to help the channel. That's the only thing what's holding me back from taking off with this now. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Mwah. Thank you so much. Like I say, keep watching, keep liking, keep subscribing, keep talking to me because it's lovely. I love this interaction. And I'll see you tomorrow, probably about this time. All right? Take care, Steve. Bye for now, everyone else. Bye for now. Bye. You too. Bye.